Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
For all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Happen in 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reach the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away in truth. Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City.
Leicester Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Right, Chris.
All right then, how are we doing? Welcome back. Yeah, I know it's the same night. I've got changed just to show you that I can do that and I don't smell. Maybe not. Maybe not. Welcome along. So we had the opposition. Let me put my teeth in. I cleaned them this morning. Can't do a thing with them. This new set I've got, you see. We had the opposition review earlier, and we had Darius on, the Manchester United fan, who gave us quite honest and blunt opinion of his thoughts on both teams. And I say he wasn't pleased with either, to say the least. But we're now going to have normal show we do now, 9 o'clock on a Monday. It is the review. This is Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching. If you are, it's Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube. Please like the video, share it if you can, and please subscribe. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast station, whichever that may be, or your favorite podcast platform, thank you very much for listening. This is what... Indeed, www.leicestertillidie.com/shop, and you can see all the Leicester Till I Die items, like the lovely How the Devil Are You sweatshirt back there. It is available and all at very good prices. So let's get into it. We're going to look back at the weekend's matches, the good, the bad, and, well, I'm here, so the ugly. And let me introduce my regular on this show. And I'm really pleased to have her back. She's really good. And that is Louise. Good evening, Louise. How are you?
Hey, I'm really good, thanks.
Good. Getting ready for Thursday?
Yes, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Don't know how it's going to go, but
no.
We've gone out in the last round, so just have to be thankful.
Yeah, no, we're through. I mean, again, it's a quarter-final. It's as far as we've ever been. I mean, what are your... I mean, I was speaking to a Man United fan, I say earlier, on the opposition show, and I do get annoyed at sort of the so-called big club's attitude to this league. I mean, I think calling it the conference in this country doesn't help, because we immediately think of, like, non-league football. But, you know... He said, well, if we get in, you know, we'll be able to put the youth team out and we'll be able to give them regular games. And I'm thinking, like, it's kind of disrespecting it. Arsenal don't even want to be in it. They'd sooner finish 7th than they said last season than actually being 6th and get into it. I mean, it's just their mentality. And this is what, for me, why I don't like those particular fans.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to say that Arsenal fans who have seen their teams, you know, in the later rounds of the Champions League should be excited for the conference. You know, it's difficult to say that, but for Leicester, I think it's very different because we can see it as like a rolling thing. You know, we'll win the conference, or if we do win the conference, then that obviously gets us into the Europa League. We hopefully win that, and then that gets us into the Champions League, because realistically, us doing that by the league is not probable. I mean, we're always going to obviously hope for that, and the players are going to try for it. But realistically speaking, it's not probably going to happen. So for us, it's very different because that is how we get into Europe, and we cannot be choosy about what European tournament we end up in or end up winning. Like, that's not something that we can do. And I think that's probably the difference.
And I think as well, when you look at who's still in there, apart from ourselves and Blood Glimt, I'll never get over that name, they're all teams that not so long ago have been in the Champions League.
Yeah. And you can't, like I say, we can't pick and choose, but even if we could, it's still a European trophy.
Yes.
It's still a tournament that we have won that other teams have not.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we just have to take it for what it is. And to be honest, I don't really care what the others think. We just have to support the team in whatever competition they're in, whether that's,
you want to, whatever you're in, you want to win it, don't you? That's
exactly.
The thing.
People say the same about the League Cup over the FA Cup. Now, obviously, yes, we'd rather win the FA Cup, and when we did, it was one of the best days ever.
Yes.
But if we could win another League Cup, would I take that? Of course I would.
Yeah. Yes. Totally agree with you. And for me, it's just I'd sooner finish 6th than be in the, Conference League than 7th and not be in Europe together at all. Sorry, But anyway, let's have a look at the weekend's games. And my God, we got a few to talk about tonight. So let's have a look here. The first one, early kickoff on Saturday. I suppose that went the way that everybody expected. I don't think anybody could really see Watford getting anything. And I know they sort of have the odd blimp here and there, but it was pretty much routine for Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. You don't expect anything, different, but we also have to kind of know that it can happen. It has happened where teams lower down the league have beat the top 2 or 3, but it's not going to happen every week. And this week was not one where it happened.
Oh, and you were just right what we were saying before about Chris. He does know his stuff. They've all won a European Cup except for Leicester and Bodo Glimt. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. She was praising your football knowledge. That was before.
That's the sort of fact that I thought he would know. That's the sort of stuff he would know.
I mean, Liverpool are just on fire. They've made it exciting for the rest of us neutrals that aren't in that battle, that Manchester City aren't walking away with it again. I mean, I went for a Liverpool win here, of course. I think everybody would have done. I'm mixed about whether I want Liverpool. I don't know if I said this last week. I'd like Liverpool to win it because I don't have anything against Liverpool as a team. I always find their fans to be okay and what have you. But do I want them to win another Premier League? Then they've got one more than us. That's totally selfish from me. But
I think the thing is with Liverpool, if it doesn't happen this season, it will happen again.
Yes.
So they're going to get that second one regardless at some point.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, this coming weekend, what's everybody doing late Sunday afternoon? I think if you're a football fan, you're going to be glued to that game. And I have a feeling it could be disappointing because I think when you it's like the FA Cups, and it's the best 2 teams in the FA Cup and it's the most drab game ever. But no, Liverpool did what they had to do. They put the marker down for Man City. Yeah, I mean, I think Watford are down, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they probably are now. I thought there was some shoots of kind of a bit of success when they had that win, but
yes,
they're just not winning games, and that's what it comes down to at this part of the season where you're looking to either push on or get out of a relegation battle, and teams are giving them chances to get out of it. They're just not winning themselves. I mean, this week, maybe a bit of a free hit in the sense that it's Liverpool at Anfield. Not expected to go there and win at all. No one in the league is expected to go to Anfield and win, but they need to win. They need to get some wins.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, and we'll come on to Everton's game later, obviously, but I think, there's only Everton, I think, that is given anybody sort of the hope that they might just get out of it, but I like I've said before, and fans on it, I've nothing against Watford or Norwich as a club, as the fans and what have you, but I just wish they'd take it seriously. I just wish another club would come up and give it a go. But they never seem to. But that kicked off the weekend, and then we moved to again. I predicted this would be the last one on Match of the Day. I mean, they've got exactly the same form there. They lost the previous 5, both of them. It was a drab 0-0. I don't think it got exciting at all. Brighton are in free fall, aren't they?
Yeah, and it always seems to happen to them as well. Obviously, I've previously said, like, they haven't got the biggest squad. When they get injuries and suspensions and stuff, it's bad to affect them. But at some point, they've got to start kind of acknowledging that fact and doing something about it, because it is going to be one case where they go on their free fall like they do at the end of every season, and they've not had the good start, and they end up in that relegation battle. Because you're just not going to do it. You can't keep doing it. Eventually, you will fall out of the league. And if Brighton did, would they come straight back up? Probably not.
No. I mean, it reminds me very much, and I hate to use those. It's 2 words. Obviously, every Leicester fan hates. Peter Taylor, but when he took over, I mean, he'd had that very good start. But when we'd lost the FA Cup quarter, was it, I think, to Wickham, everything went wrong then, and we just dropped down like a stone in a glass of water. And had we not had that good start, we would have been down that season, I think.
Yeah.
And it reminds me very much of that, because if Brighton hadn't had the good start they had, I think they would, almost certainly they would be in trouble now. But I just wonder where all the Graham Potter is God fans are.
I mean,
or am I being unfair there?
No, because I don't think he was ever worth all the praise he did get, and he was getting it from everywhere. Because he's doing it with an unpopular team. However, he's not doing a bad job. Where should a team like, Brighton actually end up? With the squad and the money they spend, where should they end up?
Yes, but at some point you've got to punch above your weight occasionally. You could say, Leicester, we should be 6th or 7th on what we spend and the players, but we have been punching above our weight. I just think he did get a lot of praise, and to me, because everybody was saying, when they were going through, and I never wanted him out, but when we had all the Rodgers out thing earlier in the season, we should get Graham Potter in. We should get Graham Potter in. I'm like, I would sooner have had Ralph in, because I think he's done a better job at Southampton. But I do worry for Brighton, and they're not going to go down this season because there's worse teams there. They will get sort of the points here, but I do worry about them next season.
Yeah, I mean, they're always a team that you're going to be worrying about, in part because of, again, the amount of money they spend. Eventually, that may bite them on the butt.
Yes. I mean,
but I also appreciate that they're not spending over what they can afford to spend. They're not a club that's going to go into administration and end up in financial trouble, where, like a Derby situation.
Yes.
That's what they have to weigh up, what they can afford to spend, and making the most out of that money, which, to be fair to them, they have. Bigger clubs have gone down instead of Brighton. So in that respect, they're doing a good job.
It's awkward, isn't it? Because, I mean, we all remember the Leeds United when they overspent and tried to do it that way, spend, and obviously we know what happened there. And Bournemouth as well were very, very close. My sort of local team down here were very, very close to going out of business. And you can't spend more than you've got. And I think it's just that everybody was bigging up Graham Potter so much, and he'd had such a good start, that you were looking and thinking, yeah, well, maybe, but no.
It's a bit like Moyes at West Ham, though, as well, isn't it? Because they were all bigging him up.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
And now they've dropped off, which is to be expected. The Premier League is a hard league. You can't. teams are going to end up where they deserve to end up
Yes,
on the
of course,
talent of the squad at the end of
yeah.
the day, and Brighton are going to end up where their squad deserves to end up.
And it does make me laugh because obviously everybody's been going, oh, Leicester bottle it and they've bottled it again. Well, I think if you look at it this season, there's a few clubs that are bottling where they should be if it comes down to it.
Again, to me, Leicester finished where they should have finished.
Yeah, yes. You know,
In fact, like you say, probably finished above where they should have finished, regardless of the fact that we had fourth, and we should have had fourth at least one of those seasons.
Yes.
But at the beginning of the season, no one would have put us in fourth.
No.
So to me, we didn't bottle it. We actually overachieved for 95% of the season.
Yes, I think I've read somewhere, I can't remember where it is, that with the players and the setup we've got, sort of thing, we should be finishing sort of 7th or 8th, sort of thing. So anything above that for me, it is a bonus, if you like, Yeah. But and we're looking on the other side, Norwich. We know they're down, don't we?
Yes. There was again a point where I thought they might, because I think they had games in hand at one point. They're the teams above them, but they've just not won those games. And yeah, they'll be championship team next season, I think.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, are you like me? Do you hope they don't come back up? And I don't mean it nasty, and I don't mean it to the fans. And again, these clubs, like you say, they are run within their means, and they should be. They shouldn't sort of, because the risk is that you do end up going out of business. Like, Bury, they've not got a club now, or a league club. But I just wish sort of that they'd make a fist of it when they came up.
But there's other ways, isn't there? Like, there is other ways. You need to get good recruitment. Like Leicester have sold players for 80 million that they certainly didn't spend 80 million, anywhere near 80 million on getting.
Yes.
That's what you have to do. You have to have that recruitment there. And I don't know why it's so good with Leicester, but it has been over the last few seasons. And that's why we've managed to get to 5th. To get that push, then yes, to get in that top 4, you've got to spend some serious money, because that's what the other teams are doing.
Yes.
And the money in the Premier League is ridiculous, but that's the league we're in, so you have to deal with what you're kind of given.
Totally. It is not just about, we'll come on to Manchester United later, but you can have all the best players in the world in your team, but if you haven't got the right management and everything moving forward,
it's like a package. It starts right at the top with your owner and works its way right down to the fans.
Yeah. Chris is giving us the result in bits here, so it's still 2-0 Palace. Has he been drinking?
No, he's just got fat fingers that are in the send button too early.
Bless him. I'm joking, Chris. I'm joking. Hello, Facebook user. Just enjoying the Palace game. Not sure who you are because it says Facebook user, but yeah, I think we'll all, if it ends up that result, I think we'll all have enjoyed the Palace game. Talking to the games, the next one that was up, Burnley, Manchester City. Again, this is pretty much what you'd expect. The gauntlet had been thrown down because, Manchester City knew what they had to do because Liverpool had won earlier. They probably didn't need to get out of third gear, if we're honest on this one. The usual suspects getting the goals, doing what they had to do, but it is all looking grim for Burnley.
Yeah, looking at their form as well is not particularly good, is it?
No.
Again, I don't expect them to beat Man City, but again, it's on that free fall, and that's dangerous, and that's incredibly hard to get out of as well. Newcastle are kind of on the opposite end, although obviously they didn't win this weekend.
No.
They are on that up. But again, they've lost games as well, so it's there for anyone who can actually get a run of wins. Is going to shoot up that league real quick. It's just none of the teams seem to be able to do it.
No, nobody wants to do it. At one point we looked at Burnley and said, they got a couple of games in hand. They'd won a couple, and then they came up against Leicester and obviously didn't win. But they didn't take advantage. They've drawn. Just looking here. Burnley, they've only won 3 games all season. They've won less than Norwich, but they've drawn 12. Now, you've got to go up to Brighton and Southampton, who are 13 and 12 respectively, to get the same number of draws on the board. And if they go down, I think that's the stat that will take them down.
Yeah, if you could just turn 4 or 5 of them into wins, you'd be well out of it. You wouldn't even need to be worrying about it.
Yes,
but that's the thing, they haven't. And it's because they don't score goals, do they? They don't score enough goals. That's always been Burnley's problem. They cannot get a goal scorer, and that's because goal scorers cost, well, decent ones usually cost money. And that's something Burnley, again, they don't have loads of money.
No.
They can't just go out and spend, again, what they haven't got.
But, and as you know, I mean, I'm sort of good mates with Dan at Turf Moor House TV. And, I said, well, you sold Chris Wood for 30 or whatever it was. You bought Weghorst in for 15, but you didn't spend the other 15. And he said they were trying to, but they couldn't get who they want. And I said, but you must have had a bigger list of, you can't just have a list of, well, we want him and have no backup. But
I also think, would they not been better off just spending that 30 million on one player? On a striker that's going to score you 15, 20 goals a season, because that's what's going to keep you in the division.
Yes. It didn't. You see, Chris, I see what you say there. It didn't help selling Chris Wood. I totally agree, but he wasn't a 20 goal a season player, and they put all the money on Weghorst, and yes, he looked good, but he's not getting the goals. You can't just say, well, we'll buy a striker. It's like Jamie Vardy. As good as he is, if the team behind him is not performing, he's not going to get the goals. And Weghorst, I think, is finding that. You do say this quite rightly. Wednesday is massive for both Burnley and Everton. Yes, it is. And I've got to be honest with you, I've got at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, I've got the PSV. So, you see my teeth. I should have got a proper set, shouldn't I? Shouldn't buy teeth off the internet. But you've got, I've got the PSV preview. That's not easy for me to say at 7 o'clock. And then after that, I'm probably going to be going on with Dan on Turf Moor House TV on his watch along. So it is a big, big game. And I think the worst result for both of those, I don't know if you agree with this, would be a draw.
Yeah, draw's not good enough for either of them, really. I mean, it's close. It's still so close down there. I mean, I'm not exactly sure on points, but like I said, just that one win. And if it's going to come for these two teams, it's going to come against each other.
Yes.
Burnley are going to win a game. It's going to be against Everton because they leak goals like they're as leaky as a teapot. And the other way around, if Everton are going to win, it's going to be against Burnley because they don't score goals.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Steve, welcome along, mate. Steve Lynex, ex-Leicester City winger. How the devil are you, sir? Thanks for popping in. I was thinking about you, and I know that's a bit scary. Don't get too scared. I'm not talking about in the stalkering sense, but I was when I saw that Palace were beating Arsenal. I did think you'd be sat there raising a glass to the Palace boys. And that's a point you've got on the prediction league as well, Stephen. Well done. Thanks for popping in. Zachary says, I mean, how about Burnley? Two questions from Zachary. How confident would we be about Burnley defeating Everton? And how confident do you feel about Burnley staying up? For me, to be honest with you, Burnley was in their hands because they had all those games in hand. And that's the proper thing of saying you need the points on the board. They didn't have the points on the board. They lost the games in hand, and they're now 2 games more than Everton. So Everton have actually got, they're in the driving seat, if you like, 3 points ahead, 2 games in hand. If Everton win this, in fact, no, I do tell a lie. I was comparing them to Watford. I really do apologise there. Sorry, Burnley and Everton have played the same number of games. 28. And Burnley are 4 points behind. I think if Everton win this, Burnley are down. I do think then that there'd be too big a job for them. But if Burnley win this, it does give them a lifeline. Would you agree with that, Lou, or do you think differently?
Yeah, I mean, if the 4 points, it doesn't they've still got to go and win another game, obviously,
Yes.
to get
Yeah.
above Everton. But again, Everton, they're so annoying because they'll play really well and not win. They just don't seem to have any kind of second idea of what they're doing. It's like they're sent out there with a plan, and if that plan doesn't work, there's no second plan. And they're not scoring enough goals. Obviously, they've had Calvert-Lewin out for a lot of the season, who was scoring goals for them last season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think if Everton win, then if they're 4 points, that'll put can't even do the maths. 7 points above Burnley, won't it? So that's then a lot for Burnley to catch up. That's more than 2 wins.
Yeah.
And that's a lot then.
I mean, we will look at the form table, at the end. But just say, I mean, Burnley's 16th in the league on current form, as in the last 6 games. Everton of 18th, so it could go either way. A draw, I think, is the least, the worst result for both of them, I think, and as Chris says here, then there's another big one at the weekend for Burnley. They've got Norwich, and I don't know, that could go either way, couldn't it?
It's still in Burnley's hands then, isn't it? To beat Everton and beat Norwich, then they've got a great chance of staying up.
Yes. I mean, we'll come on to Brentford later, but as I say, they were on a bit of a free fall, but then they started to beat the teams that were below them. And that put that gap in, and that's what Burnley need to do. It's all right, this was made. I think Burnley admitted this was probably a free hit for them, but you can have your good results and you can hold your Man United and whatever, but you've got to be, when you're in that trouble, you've got to be beating teams around you, and I'm not overly confident in Burnley doing that. And like I say, I lived in Burnley for 25 years. My kids were mascots for Leicester at Burnley games, and I do have a sort of, a soft spot for them, but this could be the season.
As much as I can't see Burnley doing it, I can't see Everton winning either. So that's the thing. Like, it's not like Everton are in great form and are on the up and are pulling away from Burnley, because that's not really happening. I mean, it's 4 points. It's not an unsurmountable amount of points at all.
I'm not sure. Let's just have a look. It's not telling me. No, I was wondering whether it was at Burnley or at Everton. I'm not sure where, but I kind of, if one's going to win, I think it might be Burnley, but I can see it being a drab 0-0, to be honest with you. And of course, if Everton score a goal, Frank Lampard's just going to probably break another bone, isn't he? So it's dangerous for him. And then talking of the said Brentford, I mean, we didn't see this coming, did we?
No, not at all. And again, Arsenal tonight are losing when they could have took an opportunity to gain points to get into that top 4. Obviously, I know Chelsea in 3rd, but gain points on them. When they lose, you win. You put the pressure on them, and they didn't look like they're going to do that. But Brentford, I don't know, they just were on it, weren't they? I mean, Eriksen obviously scored again, which is, I see a lot of people saying, Eriksen shouldn't be playing for Brentford. And to be honest, no, he shouldn't, should he? If he'd not had his heart attack, he wouldn't be playing for Brentford.
No.
However, he is doing. They were the ones that have signed him up. They were the ones that took the risk on him. And it's paying off in bucket loads for them.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be more clubs at the end of the season that will be approaching Eriksen to sign him up. He's there. Yeah, he's there till the end of the season. He scored for Denmark as well. I mean, it's great to see, but like you say, Brentford were, they took the risk on him when other teams wouldn't. And yes, there's obviously the connections there and what have you, but it was probably the best move for Eriksen rather than going back to a Tottenham or somebody like that. I think it's a great move to get him back into it. Yes,
it's going to get time to play, and that's I think is probably important for him. The longer he didn't play, the more mentally that's going to play on him. And he's obviously a mentally strong player because he's come back from what he has done, and he's still going out there training every day. Like, to think that your heart might give out on you must be a weird thing to feel.
Yes,
know,
yes,
he doesn't need the money for sure. It's
no.
playing because he loves the game, obviously.
Yes, yes. I mean, Chris says here, and the two Chris's agree with each other. I would have loved him at Leicester as well. I would have loved him to have come in, but I think unfortunately, I think we've missed the gun there. He was always going to go, I think, to Brentford, and I think he'll move on to bigger things in the summer. I mean, Chelsea.
He probably would have wanted to be in London as well, or near London.
Yeah,
So.
that's a good point. That is a very good point. I mean, Chelsea, they took the lead. You got to look now. I mean, I'm just looking at the table. Spurs, obviously, we'll come on to them later when they won. They are actually only 5 points behind Chelsea. All right, Chelsea have a game in hand, which is against us. But suddenly, Chelsea have got to be looking over their shoulder.
Yeah, and they weren't doing that at all not so long ago. So again, things can change, and results like this come up in the Premier League. We're surprised when they happen, but they do happen. From a lot of Chelsea fans that I've kind of watched on YouTube and that I know, are very not happy with how it went down because they didn't see much. They felt like their players weren't trying, and as we know, that is the worst thing you can feel from your team.
Totally.
But not to take anything away from Brentford, because at the end of the day, they've gone to Stamford Bridge and they've won 4-1.
Yeah.
Have to give them credit for that. That's an achievement in itself, to win by any score. So,
do you think? I mean, it's said all the time when things aren't going well at a club and things are going off in the background, etc., that it affects the players. To my mind, I mean, Tuchel should be able to get those players in a bubble and get them playing. I don't think you can blame it on what's going on, or can you?
I think it must have some effect, but not for the players that are in the team.
No,
I don't. It's for me. That's going to affect the players who haven't got contracts. It's going to affect players wanting to come. It's going to affect players wanting to leave. It should not be affecting those players that are on the pitch. And actually, what they should be thinking is, okay, we've got a new owner coming in who quite easily could give us a new manager.
Yes.
We need to be proving that we deserve to be in this team. And so, no, I don't think it's having any effect. And they're still in third, exactly where they were before all this happened. So
yes. Yeah, no. I to be honest with you, I can probably see them holding on to third by the skin of their teeth. But only because I'd sooner Chelsea do it than Arsenal or Spurs, to be honest with you. Apparently, it's a penalty to Palace. Oh my God, he's going from bad to worse for Arsenal. Thank you very much, Chris. He's just popped up there. Wow. Okay. Leeds 1, Southampton 1. Southampton again for me, a team that they had a good start. Been a bit of a Brighton, really. They had a good start, and now they are beginning to fall off again. They've had some good results. Leeds, they've kind of turned it around recently. Well, say kind of. They've had a couple of wins in there as well, all since the new manager came in. 1-1 wasn't. I mean, Southampton, I think, are going to be finishing their normal mid-table security position. Leeds, we're probably seeing Leeds, clambering to safety.
Yeah, I think Leeds will be okay, but I don't think that's because Leeds have been particularly good in the last kind of few games, but it's because the team's worse in the division right now.
Yes.
I think the thing with Leeds is, and it's happening, season upon season, there's the good start with the fall off. And as I said, it's okay if you're having the good start. If you're not, and you get that fall off, then you're in trouble. But they'll be fine this season, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Southampton, very much like Brighton, spend what they can spend, and they end up where they end up because of that. Again, not the biggest squads, but you can only use it as an excuse.
Yes, yeah. Steve, you must be getting the champagne out now. 3-0 to Palace. I haven't got any champagne, but I'll raise a glass of Coke to you, sir. How Zaha scores. This is football. This is football for you, isn't it? We love when you can laugh at other teams, but you don't want to laugh at yourself.
I love when an underdog wins, as long as it isn't against us.
Exactly. We are the underdogs. We should be winning. I remember when we went to the whatever final it was. It was the League Cup, but I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was the Worthington Cup when we beat Tranmere 2-0.
Yeah, we got that game.
2-1, sorry, 2-1. And we went in as favourites, and I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, it wasn't what we were used to at that time, especially. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Going as the underdog, and then it's great when you win. Going as the favourite, you win. Yeah, well, you expected to, but I would say it's come on, Palace. Come on, Palace. Having said that, I've got to be careful. We've got them next weekend. Ooh, ouch.
Well, I think again they're one of those teams that are so hit and miss. Palace, aren't they? They have a good game, they have a bad one. They have a good result, they have a bad result, and that's to be expected. They're playing in one of the toughest leagues in the world. That should be expected.
Yes.
So hopefully they've had the good one. They'll have the bad one against us.
Yeah, yes, and it's the same with Arsenal as well. You don't know what Arsenal you're going to play. They play really good one week, awful the next week, and maybe this is when they've met Arsenal on an awful week. But whatever it is, well done, Palace. Well done.
Got a weakish squad, haven't they, Arsenal? So I think that again is expected.
Yeah. All I know is that all week, all we're going to be hearing is Arteta out. He hasn't got a plan. Get rid of Arteta. I think I'm going to block all my Arsenal mates on social media. But Leeds, they've played more games than anybody else around them. They're sat above Everton, but they're 5 points ahead. Like you say, I mean, if I'm Everton and I'm looking at that thinking, well, Leeds are above us, that's what they should be targeting. They're 5 points and we've got 3 games in hand. So we could, but I just can't see Everton winning those 3 games, to be honest with you.
That's the thing for me. You can have the games in hand, but you still need to win them, don't you? And I just don't see Everton doing it.
Exactly. Right, so the next one, Wolves Villa. Now, I went for a draw with this one, and it, in fairness to me, it very nearly was. But I suppose if anybody's going to win it, I kind of edge towards Wolves. But again, yet another team, along with Villa, who have had good starts and a kind of, well, not Villa, but Wolves have kind of fallen off. Larger is doing a great job there following in Nuno. I thought they would really struggle. Villa, they haven't really had that Gerrard, they brought Coutinho in, they brought, some good players in, but they haven't really, they had like a mini bounce, but that's kind of been it, haven't it? And then maybe they're just, again, a bit like Leicester, maybe saying, right, well, this season we just write it off to sit in mid-table and go for it next season.
Yeah, I don't think Stevie G's ever going to think like that.
No,
I think that's probably what's going to end up happening.
Yeah.
They're not going to get relegated.
No.
He's getting his squad together. He's putting his stamp on it. He's got a very good mate in Coutinho, who's just an amazing player that, to be honest, Villa wouldn't have got had Gerrard not been the manager. How they actually get to keep him is a different thing, but if they can keep him for next season, keep their young players fit, I don't see any problems for Villa.
No. I mean, I would have liked Coutinho to come to Leicester, and obviously it was always being linked with, because obviously with the Rodgers link. But then I'm thinking, would he have been the Leicester sort of player? He is the big fish, isn't he? And we've seen that when we sign sort of the bigger names, they don't always fit in at Leicester.
I think if he'd come, he would have come with expectations that Rodgers would have given him, of whatever that is.
Yeah.
He knows what it's like to play under Rodgers, so he would come knowing what would be expected of him. But yeah, I guess so. I mean, you're never going to know, because I doubt he's going to come now. I think bigger fries are probably going to come in for him if he leaves Villa. And who knows, Mr. Villa might be really happy there over on the wrong side of the Midlands, might be happy.
Yeah, yes, and like you say again, he's at a club where the manager knows him, knows what he is capable of, and he's not got the pressure. And no disrespect to Villa, but he's not got the pressure that he would have if he was playing again for a Liverpool or a Chelsea or somewhere like that. And they've got, they're going to have the money to, they're not obviously even touched really the Grealish money, have they?
No, well, they got rather a lot of money for him, didn't they? So, yeah.
Yes. But
and again, that's something Stevie Gerrard is going to expect. He's going to expect a good chunk of that money back in the summer, I would have thought, to, like say, strengthen the squad. Because he's going to have ambition. He's not going to be happy sitting in 10th or 11th. He's not going to be happy with that at all. And he's going to, when he came, he would have expected certain things from the board. And when if they don't give it him, he'll leave.
Yes. I think he's a really good fit though for Villa. I was listening a couple of times. I've caught like the Villa, not necessarily the chairman, but the spokesperson on the board speaking for Villa, and he speaks very, very well. I think he's American, but he's certainly, they're owned by Americans, but they're certainly not like a Man United, like a Glaziers or anybody. But they speak very well, and I think they're going to back him, and he will be there until basically, unless Liverpool come knocking. I think, but I think they are a good fit, and Steven Gerrard will have his eyes set. I think on that Liverpool job, of course he will. It's natural, but I think
he's going to be different to Arteta and Lampard, where he's realised he's not ready for that job.
Yes.
I think even if he got offered it, as hard as he would find it, I think he would turn it down. Because I think he would realise that he is not ready. He's not had enough managerial experience, and he's not ready for the pressure of managing. I mean, Villa are a big club, don't get me wrong, but they're not on the level of Liverpool. Especially with Steven Gerrard. Like, that's his club he's supported since he was a boy. So going there and managing them, he's going to want to do the best job he can possibly do. And I don't think that is right now because he's not got the experience.
Like you say, Lampard, it's hard to turn down when these clubs come knocking because you don't know when they will come back and knock, So Lampard might have said, well, this is my chat. And I think Lampard, for most Premier League clubs, did a good job, and we'd have all probably been satisfied. But of course, with Chelsea, it's never enough, is it? But and look at Rooney. He could have walked away very easily. And I know it's Derby, and I want Derby to go down. Of course, I do. Do I want them to go out of business? No, because we've all been there, especially us Leicester fans, and I wouldn't wish that on Derby at all. But I do want him to go down. But he stood by them and he's learning his trade. He could have walked away and gone elsewhere quite easily. So credit to him for that. And I think, like you say, credit for Gerrard. I think he will stay with Villa until he feels ready. But of course, we've got the big game and of the weekend coming up next, and we'll come back and look at that straight after. If you're watching on YouTube, please do give us a subscribe, smash the likes, and please also share if you are able to. Manchester United 1, Leicester City 1. I spoke to Darius, who was a Manchester United fan, on the opposition show earlier. And I like Darius because he's not your typical Manchester United fan. He accepts that, Manchester United are a club that pre-Fergie was nothing, they were just another Arsenal thing, but they have got the history, obviously, with the Busby Babes. I kind of got what he was saying because he said, certainly from a neutral's point of view, it was a pretty drab team, and he was actually disappointed that he said Man United were there for the taking and Leicester should have taken it. For me, it wasn't a bad performance. We've had a lot worse performances this season.
Yeah, it's so difficult because can't help but be disappointed when you score a goal and it gets chalked off.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's disappointing. And obviously, that would have won us the game. And I thought it had. And like I said, nearly dropped that bloody glass and everything. I think over the whole game, was a draw a fair result? Yeah, I think it probably was. But I feel like we won it. Because I don't think it was... When he looked at it back on VAR, I didn't think he was going to overturn his decision.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
I didn't think they would overturn it when it went to VAR, and I saw it. I thought, well, yeah, that could be a goal. I was surprised it was overturned, and I think if it had been at the KP, it wouldn't have been. I don't think it would have been.
I think there's only one angle that where it showed he did pull his foot away, but was it intentional? Was it? He was going down anyway, I think. And I think it's
not clear and obvious.
No, that's
Definitely
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be a clear and obvious.
To be fair, the VAR didn't overturn it. The referee overturned it on VAR's decision to go and look at it. So that is a bit of a grey area there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised that he overturned it from what I saw. And obviously we don't get to hear what was actually said by VAR. Was it said? Did they say, go and look at this? We think it's a foul. Like, we think it's a foul, and that's it. Influenced his decision. I don't know exactly what the terminologies they're allowed to use or they do use. No. We never hear it.
Yes.
I just wish we could hear what was going on.
Yes. I agree totally. You know, when you hear it in rugby union rugby union, I think is where you can hear what the referees are saying.
Yeah.
It just makes you realize that it would just keep us more informed. We would understand more, you know. And
it's like agree with the decision, but we know what the decision was.
Yes, yeah. And it's like, you know, the managers coming out after the game. We're not going to agree with the not the managers, the referees not being allowed to talk after the game.
Yeah.
We know that referees get decisions wrong. You know, I think, you know, even with VAR, they're not going to get everything right. But why did you make that decision? You know, if you say, well, you know, if it was given away before VFR and the referee came out and said, from my angle, what I saw was his foot being taken away and therefore it was the foul and I couldn't give the goal, we'd still disagree with it, but we'd say, okay, that's what you saw, because football is about opinions and it's the ref's opinion that counts. But you know, as soon as he's going to go over and look at the screen, you know it's going to get overturned.
Yeah. I did have a feeling, but when I saw the initial replay, I thought, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because of the initial decision that was made. When I look at it, I think, you could give it as a foul, but I thought, well, it's not going to overturn it. It's not obvious that that's a foul.
Yes.
And I think the fact that we can debate it now, even though we've all seen it, and, you know, half of us will say, yeah, that was a foul, and half of us will say it wasn't, proves that it's not clear. I was surprised.
I've got a gentleman that comes on and goes around all the different shows. I have Niall, and he is a Manchester United fan. And he actually came on because we were doing a watch along and then the post match. And he came on the post match as a Manchester United fan and said it was a goal. As far as he was concerned, and said, you know, in my opinion, that was a goal. If it had gone the other way, I would have been fuming if it had been chalked off. But, you know, it's at Old Trafford, and I'm not one of these as well, because it's at Old Trafford that would have happened. Somebody said earlier they'd have been interested to see what would have happened if Maddison had shot it wide. Would the foul would have been called, or?
No, I don't think it would, because Man United would have obviously had the ball back anyway from the goal kick. So I don't think it would have done. I don't think, unless there's a foul. And that's another thing. I don't know, though, because I don't know what they're actually allowed to use VAR for, what they're not allowed to use VAR. It's just so confusing.
It is such...
And every time it gets used, it's more confusing.
Yes. The problem is, as well, is that they are changing bits of rules every season. So you've no idea, like you said, where you stand. I mean, I was one that was shouting for VAR, and I wanted VAR. All we seem to do now is moan about VAR the way we used to moan about the refs.
Yeah.
We said, "Oh, we lost the game. The ref was rubbish." He wasn't. We were probably just sort of moaning because we thought one decision had gone against us. Now we're saying we lost because of the VAR decision. Blah blah blah. I think the rules as they stand don't fit with VAR. And I think they need to change the rules to fit to allow VAR to be able to do its job, if you like. Somebody once said that football is a beautiful game made too spoiled and made too complicated by the rules.
Look, people also need to know what the rules are. So when VAR disallowed a goal for handball,
yes,
and the person's like, well, it was handball, but it wasn't. It wasn't put on purpose. But the rules actually say now, if it touches your hand, it's a foul. It's no goal.
Yeah,
so that's not VAR. That's the rules. The rules were at fault because the rules are stupid. But VAR can't change the rules. It can only, officiate on the rules.
You've also got like in the FA Cup final with Perez's hand, where it was a different passage of play. Was it handball or not? Whatever passage it's in, do you know what I mean? And if it's a handball, it should have still been a free kick. I just don't get it, like you say. Good evening, Jordan, Liverpool fan. How the devil are you? Thanks for popping in. Inacho, what a header!
Yeah, really good goal, and I'm really happy for him because when he's getting minutes, that's what he needs to do. If he wants to play more regularly, that's what he's got to do. Yes. Every time he plays, he's got to score. And that sounds ridiculous. And when Vardy comes back, obviously, he comes back into the mix. And we've obviously got Daka, and they all offer different things. And also, Daka's still learning about the Premier League as well. So there's all that's going to be taken into consideration because JV ain't going to last forever. Like, eventually he's going to retire. We don't know when that is. I hope he tells us before the season starts and then plays the season and finishes. But, whenever that is, and it can't be much longer, like his age is going to start working against him. And it will do as well from coming back from injuries, getting injuries, all that stuff will be more prevalent as he gets older.
Yeah.
So we need to decide what the plan is going to be when he does retire.
Yes.
Is it going to be an advert? Is it going to be Daka? Is it going to be somebody else? Like, what is the plan? Because he has been the plan for so long.
I can see Vardy, like I say, when he knows it's his final season and he's talking with Rodgers, I think we'll see like what I would call the Burnley Vardy, where he doesn't start, but he comes on for the last 20 minutes or so when the opposition defence is tired and pops up and gets the goal. I can see him being that super sub for a season and then obviously moving on. I can't see him actually going to another club, but you never know. I mean, Chris says there VAR should be like cricket or tennis where the manager has 3 to 4 reviews a game. I just think that just slows the game down too much, to be honest with you. I mean, Maddison was offside.
You say that, but these decisions are taking minutes at a time anyway. These decisions are taking longer than they should do anyway.
Yeah.
So is it actually going to take more time for a manager to just put a card in the air, the referee stop the game, it's looked at, and then yes or no? Probably not.
Good point. But I mean, do you think? I think the thing with we always used to say when we had referees making the decisions that these things balance out over the season, and some refs see it, some refs don't. And that's the thing with VAR. I think when we got VAR in, we expected consistency. This is a system that will show us. And it's like with tennis. If it's out, it's out. If it's in, it's in. And the decision's the same for everyone. But here, VAR has still got to be interpreted.
But that's football, though, isn't it? That's just the sport that we have.
Which is why is VAR up for it? Is it? Should we not get rid of VAR and go back to the refs because you've still got the ref?
I think we should keep VAR, but how it should be used is different. Because to me, nobody should be making a decision other than the referee. So if VAR sees something that it thinks is wrong, and it does, it sends him over. It takes a couple of minutes for him just to run over to that screen and re-watch it. Because he is human, he's going to make mistakes, and he's going to not see things. He's not got eyes in the back of his head. That's what VAR needs to be. It doesn't need to be for what he sees. It needs to be for what he doesn't see.
Yes.
And at the minute, it's not. He makes the decision it's a foul. And then VAR makes a decision, no, actually, we've watched it again. And our opinion is that it's not a foul. Well, you're not the referee. It should always be the referee that makes the decision on the game. That's the whole point of having the ref.
Yes.
Otherwise, like you say, what's the point of having him? So to me, it's not getting rid of VAR or keeping it. It's using it differently. Let the ref make the decision.
It's 3 seasons in, and we're still talking about it. And I'm sure in a couple of seasons we will still be talking about it. That they say it's football, isn't it? It's football. Moving on. I mean, well, we didn't lose. That's the main thing, and we're still now 5 unbeaten against Man United, 4 in the league, and we've got the cup apparently. And talking about being unbeaten, Palace have beaten Arsenal 3-0. Oh, my tears are flowing. I tell you what, they're going to have to open the flood. They have to close the flood barriers on the Thames in London for all those Arsenal tears. David, good evening. Louise said exactly this same point earlier. I think we would feel that all a bit more comfortable with the decision if we heard why they made the decision, so we understand. We might not still agree with it though, David, but yes, at least we'd say, well, okay, that's why. But anyway, there was other games. West Ham made a hard work of this, didn't they?
Yeah. A bit harder than it probably should have been, but the result that we all thought it was going to be. So,
I mean, we've talked about Everton earlier. West Ham, I mean, they are sitting there now in 6th. They will get, that will obviously get them Europe next season. But, at the start of the season, they were talking. I know I did a show on a West Ham channel comparing their team this season to our title-winning team. They've kind of blown it. I'm not saying bottled it, but they have kind of lost their way, shall we say. I can't see them finishing in the top 4 now.
But it's so annoying because when Leicester, for example, we had 4th for a long time. We just missed out and ended up getting 5th. That's not Leicester underachieving. That's Leicester overachieving. But because we fell down, if we'd gone from 6th to 5th, that would have been a good season.
Yes.
Because we went from 4th to 5th, that's not a good season. And I think that's where West Ham need to see it as.
I think we all know about that, don't we? I think you've explained that one before. I think personally, Everton are a wonderful team, and they were very unlucky. Now you tell me, Chris. You didn't tell me earlier when we were talking about Everton. Wonderful team, Everton. I've always liked them. Sorry, Lou. Carry on.
So West Ham are where they should be. They are where they should be. Again, for the squad they have, the money they spent, blah 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 blah. They are where they should be. No one involved with West Ham should be embarrassed that they're sitting 6th in the Premier League. Like, come on.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. We all have expectations before the season, and then if things go really well and we have this great start, those expectations are forgotten and replaced by something else. No, those expectations are what they should be.
Yeah, totally. And the next game, well, again, this was a surprise. But before we get overly excited about Tottenham Hotspur and the fact that they're in 4th place, I think we should just remind ourselves of this.
It's time for the Daily Spurs.
We can't let Tottenham get ahead of themselves. And I know I'm contractually obliged to have to do this every show, of course. It's 14 years, 35 days, 4 hours, 28 minutes, and 22 seconds since Spurs last won a title. But 5-1, again, with a Newcastle side that had started to turn things round, and I was sort of saying this to safe, and I still think they will be, to be honest with you. But this for me sums Spurs up, because you just don't know which Spurs are going to turn up. We say that about a few teams, though, don't we?
We do, yeah. I mean, Spurs obviously in a decent run of form. 4 wins in the last 5, pretty decent. I'm not surprised they won against Newcastle. I am surprised that they won 5-1.
Yes.
I'm surprised that they made it that easy for themselves. Newcastle didn't really show much in this game. I think when the new owners took over, and obviously they got a new manager, it was all, the whole atmosphere around Newcastle changed, and the way that the fans were talking, the way that the players were talking, and obviously that new manager bump obviously has helped them. I think Newcastle will be safe, for the record. I don't think they're going to go down. However, I know there's a few Geordies who are worried because they do feel they're on that downward slide again. They bought Chris Wood. What did they expect? They're not going to score goals. It's not going to score enough goals. Like, I don't have anything against Chris Wood as a player or as a person. No. If you are looking to stay in a division, he is not the striker you want to be buying, and especially not for 30 million.
I know, totally. I mean, we had Chris Wood at Leicester, and he came to us. Did he score? He scored 6 goals in one game or something, I think, and he came to us with
his first appearance, I think, if I remember correct. And I think he might have scored in the next game, but then didn't score again.
Right. Yeah, and I think when he was at the team before us, but. I liked him. He played well. He was an option. Obviously, Jamie Vardy coming through, and we had a Nugent there as well, David Nugent. He struggled. I wonder though. I mean, I was trying, and I haven't actually ever checked this out, but of course he was at Burnley, and who's the Newcastle manager called?
Steve Bruce.
No. It's the new one, isn't it? Eddie Howe. Yeah, Eddie Howe. Yeah. I can, my mind went blank then. Really did. As soon as you said Steve Bruce, he was Burnley manager for a while. So I just wonder if he saw something. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you very much there. It's my age, I'm nearly a pensioner, what can I say? But yeah, and I think he saw something more in Chris Wood. So he's not the sort of player I think you would buy thinking he's going to keep us up.
No, and that's the thing. But then again, Newcastle can't attract those players. Those players aren't coming to Newcastle, are they? So they are in a catch-22 situation. And to be fair, not surprised they bought Chris Wood. I'm surprised they paid 30 million for him, though.
Yes,
but then again, maybe that's what it took to get him from Burnley.
That was that was his sign out, his get out clause, if you like. I think Newcastle have got to sort of do almost, I think, what Nigel Pearson did at Leicester. When we went down to the 3rd division or the 3rd tier, he was getting loan players in, and he bought a team. He had a team to get us out of that division, and then we moved on. I think Newcastle have got to get a team together that's going to get them safety for a few seasons, get that mid-tier, and then move on with the big names. Yeah,
my only worry is the expectation of the Newcastle fans and how high it's got since they've been taken over. And that's understandable. We all know what Ashley did to them. Not acceptable. Then obviously the Premier League stopped them being brought, and there was all that kerfuffle. Then eventually they got brought. My worry is that this money that they've got isn't going to be spent wisely. Because you can have all the money in the world, if you don't spend it wisely. Look at Everton; they've spent shed loads, and they're not seeing any benefit for it. That's what Newcastle need to look at teams like Everton and realise, actually, we need to have some form of plan of how we're going to do it. We know we're not going to go from where we are now to the top, which is where we want to be, but we can gradually get there. Build, like you say, a team to get you to the middle, and then build a team to get you to the top.
Yeah, exactly. John Wayne, good evening to you. How are you, sir? Anthony, welcome along as well. Yeah, it started already. Look, there we go. Arteta, I'll get to Anthony. I put it up before, obviously. Anthony, we know we're going to have. I'm going to turn my social media off until Saturday. It's going to be full of Arsenal fans. Arteta doesn't have a clue. Hey, mate, bad luck. It was just a bad night for you. Newcastle have said they will emulate Leicester. Probably. I mean, the thing with Leicester is you've got to remember is that Leicester went from bottom to top in one season. And Newcastle aren't going to do that because they're going to finish mid-season this season, you know. So, let's face it, had we gone from bottom, that under pace, and then gone sort of mid-table and then gone on and won it, yes, it would still been a big story because it was Leicester, but it wouldn't have been as big because we'd had that season, you know, season between.
It's difficult to say Leicester on the model because they've had success, obviously, afterwards as well, finishing those two things, winning the FA Cup. So it depends how they're perceiving copying us. If they're seeing us right, we are at the bottom. I mean, they're not at the bottom like we were, but at the bottom, and we can get there in one season, then no. If they're looking at us and thinking, you know, they recruit really well, they're careful how they spend their money, they make sure that, you know, their players have got sale on ability, all that kind of stuff, then yes, that's what Newcastle need to be doing.
Yeah.
But they cannot accept it to happen in one season. And I don't think the owners do, because they have come out and said, this is a 10-year plan. This is a 10-year plan. We want to be really fighting for trophies, but that isn't going to happen in the next 4 or 5 seasons. So I think they're aware.
I think they are. I think they are being quite sensible. Now, bear with me because this has changed in the last. Sorry, Anthony, I've got to say, in the last few minutes since Palace stuffed Arsenal. But I was looking at, now this is the form, rather than just looking at the league table, this is the form table. Now, it's very interesting. All I need you to do there is realise that Arsenal are down to 5th and Palace are up to 6th in the form table. And Leicester are down to 8th now on that. But I mean, I was shocked when I saw that Leicester were that high, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and again, we've just had a bit of a season, haven't we, where everything's been a bit doom and gloom. And it is actually pretty good to see that. I mean, that's not as high as I'd want us to be. Obviously, I'd want us to be at the top. But considering what's happened to us this season, the results we've had, the injuries we've had, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Liverpool way out on top. Manchester City, again, this has changed slightly, down to 4th, which makes you think Liverpool are probably going to win it. But that, as I say, we'll all be glued to our sets. I've put the Leicester post-match show will not be straight after the game next weekend against Palace because Manchester City are playing Liverpool. And I'm sorry, I think everybody is going to be watching that. I don't care what they say.
I mean, form is always worth looking at, especially at this time of the season, but it doesn't always follow.
It doesn't.
Man City yet.
And this season especially, I think, because there has, like the Brentford-Chelsea, you know, this season has thrown up more of those type of results than probably the past, few seasons put together. But if I was a Brighton fan, I would be very worried looking at that.
Yeah, it doesn't look great, does it? I mean, 1.1. How many games is this, did you say? 6. So 6. 1 from 18.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good at all.
No. And I think
worse than Burnley, worse than Watford.
Yeah,
it's not good reading for Brighton fans.
I mean, for me, you know, Leeds are on 15th with 7 points. I mean, that's only 1 win above Burnley, but you know, for Burnley, Watford, Everton, Norwich, and Brighton aren't going to go down. We said that earlier. Well, you can't be sure, but we don't think they will go down. No, but yeah, when you look at that, when you are in free fall, that isn't good to see.
No, and they say winning is a habit. Well, so is losing.
Yes. You need the ball to go in off somebody's backside or a
Yeah.
beach ball, and go in and to get you
Off
the win.
post and goal, penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty. However, it needs to happen.
Yeah. No, totally agree. But at least we're in the top half of that, which is which is something, you know. But there we go, Louise. Thank you very much as always. Very, very insightful. It's nice to have you back. Did you have a good week off with the England games?
Yeah, I didn't actually watch any of them, if I'm honest.
I didn't.
I know that sounds really bad because, you know, obviously I support England. I want them to win.
Yes.
It's just those games where I just know they're going to win. And if they don't win, I don't want to watch it because they should be winning. No. You know what I mean?
I did a watch along for the World Cup draw, and that really interested me. And I think we've got a great group. And if we do not get out of that group, you know, we couldn't have picked that better ourselves.
We're never winning anything again.
No, it is a great. But this is England. But
we'll make it difficult for ourselves, of course.
Oh God, we will. You know, but when you look at, for me, when you look at the way that football is structured, for example, Australia, right? They've got New Zealand. They're top of their oceanic groups or whatever, and yet they've now got to play off against other teams to try and get through. You know, Australia's got to play off against Peru. You know, New Zealand against Costa Rica. I just think it is all tied up for money with FIFA, and I know everybody says yes, it is, and it should, you know, it's the way it is, and it's never going to change. But why should Australia have to, having been top of their group, or New Zealand, then have to go and play Peru or whatever to try and get through?
The level of football in that area is obviously not as good as it say is in Europe or South America.
No.
So you do want the best teams at the tournament. However, it is a World Cup, so you also need to factor that in. You know, you don't want all of Europe and all of South America making all the World Cup because that's obviously not the World Cup.
No.
So it's difficult. I feel like I don't think this is corrupt thing. I just think it's numbers.
Oh, I don't think it's corrupt. No, and I think it is very much a case of.
I can see where you would say it's money because having Australia over a European team isn't going to make FIFA less money because the Australians do not care about soccer the way we do.
No, and you could say even, you know, it's against Peru, I think, that they've got to play. So you'd say Peru's going to get more viewers, like you say, than Australia, where it isn't the national game. But what I was sort of leading on to with that is the fact that when you look at the groups that we're in to qualify, if we can't get out of those groups, you know, they are set up for the big teams to get through, you know. And all right, Italy haven't made it. That's a shame, isn't it? But generally speaking, you know, if England can't get out of the groups that we're put in to qualify, like you say, pack your bags and go home.
But what's the alternative? Because England shouldn't be penalised for being a strong team.
No. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that necessarily is wrong, but I've got no interest in watching that.
Oh no, me neither.
I've got no interest in Harry Kane adding a few goals to his total because he wants to play against Estonia or whatever. You know, it just doesn't excite me because, like I say, if we do not get out of that group, then there's something wrong. You know. I
mean, having said that, I will watch all the group games, obviously, at the World Cup because that is.
Oh yes.
Different,
you know.
Because that's tournament football,
yes.
And actually. Like I say, England do tend to make it hard for themselves.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
That group should be 9 points, and if it's any less, then that's a failure.
Yes. No, I agree.
3 teams, it's a failure.
Yes.
The draw was incredibly fine to us.
You know, we were second in the Euros, so if we can't beat those teams, because we should be progressing, then something like you say is wrong. But no, I agree totally. But what I love about the World Cup, and, you know, I say I do these quizzes, and I did one the other day, which was sort of shock World Cup results, is that you want your Cameroons to beat your Argentinas or whatever, you know, that's all part of, you know, the World Cup. If we end, I mean, so other people will say, no, we should have the best teams always playing. And I understand that. The football purists will want that. Yeah, it is, you know. the chance of sort of,
two great teams playing against each other all the time. They just cancel each other out. And it all then goes to extra time and penalties.
This is why you have your UEFA's, tournaments and your AFCON tournaments and your, Cope d'Ors or whatever they're called. I mean, Costa Rica knocking England out. Yes, obviously, it wasn't ideal, peed off and everything, but that's what the cup's all about.
That's not the shot we wanted. That's not the shot we wanted.
No, and Iceland, let's be honest with you, we've been at the end of those for so long, but it's what makes the tournament. These teams coming in and going from nowhere. But no, like I said, I agree with you. I didn't watch either of them at all. But, there we go. That's me. But I will be watching, obviously, all the World Cup when it comes around because it is the finals, Louise, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for this evening. Like I say, as always, very, very insightful. You really know your stuff. Thank you for coming on, and I will see you next Monday.
See you next Monday.
Take care. Thank you very much. And goodbye to Chris and goodbye to your mum. Good luck on Wednesday, mum. I'm covering myself. I'm just covering myself. Just in case she is watching. Thanks very much. Take care, Louise.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you so much to Louise and her mum if she's watching. It's a big Evertonian. But yes, as Chris says, there should be a good World Cup as most players should be up to full fitness midway through a season. We've played the final, whether England are there or not, is on the 18th, and we are back playing Premier League football on the 18th of December. That is, we're back playing Premier League football on the 26th. Yes, not much of a gap there, is there? But hey, this is modern day football. Thank you so much for watching in. Well done, Palace. Arsenal. What a shame. And we'll be back tomorrow night with Brad and Steve Lynett. So I'm sure he may not even have sobered up by then. Who knows? Celebrating the Palace's win. And we'll see you tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, this channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you've been listening on the podcasts, take care. And I'll see you tomorrow at 9. Stay safe.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.